And hello. Welcome to another episode of Success Scopes with Carolyn R. Owens. And yes, Carolyn Farron is in here first this time. Thank you so much for being here with us today. It's Friday. Now, for some of you guys, it's like, hey, I'm excited, it's Friday. But you should really feel that way every day of the week. The lighting and stuff may be a little off right now because just before I got on, of course, the light bulb blew here. But thank you again for being here. For those who don't know me, my name is Carolyn R. Owens. Hello, Chella. Thank you for being here. Our woman of wealth is here with us today. Again, for those who don't know me, my name is Carolyn R. Owens, and I'm the chairwoman and CEO of Infinity Coaching Incorporated, where we help you up-level your skills. I'm sorry. We help you up-level your skills by up-leveling your income, your business, your career, and your life. And so thank you again for being here. We have a lot of fun with the work that I do, with the clients I work with. So I'm excited to be here with you guys again. You saw the title for today. We're talking about the power of yes. And I've been sharing with you that I was going to give you some feedback on some of the resources that I've been using this year, how I've been shaping my 2017. And I believe that, and you guys have heard me say this, is what we put in our heads. It feeds our heart, it feeds our soul, and we have to look at how we're feeding our mind, our body, and soul. And that's one of the things that I'm really being conscious about this year is, what am I reading, what am I watching, how am I treating my body? Because if we talk about wanting to be successful, but if we're not strong enough or healthy enough mentally, physically, and emotionally to enjoy that success, then it's like, what was all that journey for? What was all the work for? And we should be having fun, enjoying the process along the way. So I think how we are nourishing our souls, how we are feeding ourselves to grow for our professional and personal development is something that we should be aware of. So as you're thinking about what are you feeding your mind with throughout this year, and that's going to help you grow, that's going to help you stretch. And so I had strategically kind of picked out books that I had been wanting to read or that I had heard about, that I knew that there's total alignment with where I'm going this year and the type of knowledge, what I need to keep myself focused and motivated while I'm going through my journey. And so I wanted to share those resources with you over time and give you some feedback on what I thought about it. Did it add value, and how did it add value for me? I see Danielle joined us. Thanks so much for being here, Danielle. It's good to see you back today. And so the first thing I did, there was a book that carried over from last year that I finished first this year, and I just want to mention it real quick. And this one was Let's Just Say It Wasn't Pretty by Diane Keaton. And I shared this one on Instagram that I had finished reading this one. And so what I liked about this one was I liked reading biographies and stuff, to get autobiographies and see, capturing a piece of that person. I like her movies, but then what is the person saying? What is it like? Because who we see on the screen, we know, isn't necessarily who that person is. So we got to see a take of an era, a time when they were making movies, and some of the challenges that women went through, and their looks, and what beauty means, and all of that. So it was different than what I've been reading, but as a fan of hers, it was pretty cool to read it. And that carried over to the beginning of this year, and I got to finish that out. But then for this one, I did the audio version, and you guys have seen me. I told you when I got it, and then I was going to be starting it at the beginning of the year. And this one is A Year of Yes, How to Dance It Out, Stand in the Sun, and Be Your Own Person by Shonda Rhimes. And that's why this is all about the power of yes today. And so I got this one in the audio version because I knew how much time I spend in the car, and I wanted to be able to, when I'm in the car, have something going that's going to be feeding me as well. What am I listening to? What am I focusing? Because I really have a focus for my career, for my business this year. And so I want to have something that's playing in the car. So that's why I picked the audio version. And ironically, that's one of the things that I liked about this one, was because hearing it, the author is the one, Shonda Rhimes, it's her voice that's reading it. And as you go through it, and her emotion and her feeling as she's telling the different stories, she's a storyteller. So you see what she creates. You can imagine hearing her tell her own story and the feeling and emotion as she puts behind it. So I think this particular one is actually better to me on audio. And if you're driving, it gives you something, we don't realize how much time we spend in the car. Especially, I'm in the DMV area, which is the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And you know how the traffic is. Just, we could be going somewhere that's, just 10 miles down the road, but it takes us 45 minutes to get there just because of the way traffic is here. So having some, that's one of the things I'm doing this year, is making sure I got some good audios that are in the car with me, because you can get bored, you get tired when you're driving. So being able to have these, that's why I liked having this one, and hearing her, like I said, tell, and in her story, made an impact for me on how I was actually taking in and digesting the information. And if, by chance you guys are watching this and you don't know who Shonda Rhimes is, you probably, if you don't know her by name, you know her work. You've at least seen something that she's done. She's the creator and executive producer of Grey's Anatomy, Scandal. She did, this one doesn't come on anymore. It might be on Hulu or Netflix, but it was Private Practice. And then she is the executive producer for How to Get Away with Murder. All very, award-winning shows. And her creativity that she uses to script these out. And she also wrote Introducing Dorothy Dandridge. She wrote that. So you think about, and you get to understand her creative mind and how that works, to be able to create such work by listening to this. And to me, being able to understand how we create, our products, our services, how are we creating our lives? What is it passionate about us? And you understand her passion as you're going through it and hearing that. And the focus is on 2013 Thanksgiving, when her sister Dolores tells her, you never say yes to anything. And so it was a conversation they were having, and Shonda was telling her sister all these invitations she had received for different events, and how she's telling her all these things, but her sister's like, what difference does it make? You're not going, so why are you telling us about us? She's very fortunate that even though she's very successful, her family kept her grounded. Like, hey, to us, you're still Shonda. No matter, everything you're producing, you're still our sister. You're still our daughter. You're still Shonda. And, they kept her, when I talked to you guys about having somebody that keeps you accountable, they kept her grounded to remember who she was. So her sister, I told you about being able to have somebody to call you on your crap, to call you on everything that you're saying. And that's what her sister was doing for her. She called her on it. She's like, you're talking about getting all these invitations, but what you doing about it? You're not taking advantage of any of these opportunities that have come your way. And it was a moment for her to sit back and just say, oh, I'm not, and why? And start looking at the fear and the anxiety, some of the social anxiety that she had about being able to put herself out there. She was overweight. She's a big woman, overweight. And she had this fear, she's an introvert, and all of this stuff that would not, that she couldn't break free of. Despite the successful shows, despite the income she had, there were some things that she had, the blocks that weren't allow her to step out and do those things. So it doesn't matter what income level you're at, it doesn't matter what career you're at, we all experience these blocks in our lives that can hold us back from really flourishing and living up to that full potential. She was turning down speaking engagements, photo shoots, opportunities to speak in front of large crowds. Some things that some guys out there I know dream of, having that opportunity to speak in front of that audience. She was turning down parties. And if she had, yesterday we talked about excuses, how excuses can hold you back. And she had some good ones. Where I said I was probably the queen of excuses, she may be the person that has me beat. How she would be able to say no and come up with reasons and different things on why she could not go. And a very smart woman, she came up with very good reasons on why she couldn't go and how she was turning these opportunities down. But it was so bad for her that interviews could come up and she would go in a panic mode. I mean, pure panic before she was having to go on the interview. So saying no for her eliminated having to even address the fear, having to address that anxiety and the feelings that came up for her. If you say no, then you ain't got to deal with it. You don't have to confront it. So how often do we do that, where it's easy for us to say no and then turn away from something, although we know that one thing is the thing that's going to take us to that next level, but we don't want to deal with the fear that's inside of us, the thing that's pulling us, but we know this will be good for us. But we say no to avoid that discomfort, that uncomfortable feeling. And she was saying no to anything that made her nervous, anything that made her feel uncomfortable. She didn't want to step outside of her comfort zone. And so after she realized this, and her sister, pretty much called her out on it, this is when she began to say, okay, I'm going to say yes to the things that scare me. I'm going to say yes to the things that I'm nervous about. And she began to step out of that comfort zone and doing those things, which included with the Kennedy Center honors. She was there with President Obama and the First Lady when one of the events that they did for the Kennedy Center honors. And also she did it's a really good photo shoot she did. It was a cover that she would not have otherwise done, and it turned out to be a wonderful, amazing experience that she embraced and was able to do. But had she not started saying yes to these things, she got on Jimmy Kimmel Live, where she was able to do that one as well, where otherwise she would not have done those things. And it was how she had to do them. It wasn't as if it was all of a sudden she could miraculously get over the fear and the anxiety and step out and do it. She had to be able to work herself through it and come up with ways that she can start tearing down that fear. And sometimes that's what we have to do, is take small steps. That small step even still gets you that one step closer to your goal, that one step closer to that thing that you desire, that's going to up your game, that's going to take you to that next level. So what you go through this and you find out that as you begin to do these things, it's going to take that fear away. If you guys go back and remember when I first got on here, I think it's been about 6-7 months now when I first started getting on here, doing some scopes. I was uncomfortable. It took a lot for me to get on here and do this, because I'm not one who likes to be on camera. I don't like to be on the screen. But I was edged by my sister to be able to go ahead. She was watching other people's scopes. She's like, why aren't you doing your own? You need to go on here and jump on and start doing it. And I'm like, really? And so she kept pinging, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? And finally said, fine. I set the time, I set the date. And then even then, I would go breaks in between, and I wasn't consistently getting on here. But each time that I get on here and I, take that next step and take that next step, and then look, I'm like, I'm almost at episode 100 here. I've done 71 episodes here. And so now I still got to learn like Instagram stories and Facebook Live. I have not done yet, but those are like next things that I want to see. Doing Facebook Live and the Periscope at the same time. How can I start doing that with the mounts and different things that I have here? So, but it still is that small step, being able to do it and step out. And it's the same thing. What in your life have you been putting off that you haven't stepped in and been able to do? Time for you to get a little uncomfortable. And one of her big things was her weight. And I think how many of us get caught and trapped by the way we're concerned about how we look, how much we weigh, that doesn't let us step outside. And I will say it's not just women. There are men that go through the same thing. So it's, we always think it's a woman who's concerned with the way she looks, with how much she weighs, but men are challenged by the media and everything else that's put out there for them too. But we don't think about that because they're, if they're more vocal about it, it's like they're not masculine, they're not a man. But you think about, so that makes it to me even worse because they're going through this in silence. There's no voice, or there's nobody saying, hey, letting people know that they experience this too. And we overlook that, we take that for granted, that they're not going through some of the same things. But they still have to go through that challenge of getting on that stage, or being on film, or doing something that's going to put themselves totally out there. So we all experience this, both men, both women, concerned about our looks. And there are going to be people who don't like the way you look. There are going to be people who talk about your weight. But are you going to allow yourself to hold back from your dreams? Because the amount of people that are going to talk about it versus the one, Carolyn Farnworth, so very true, love yourself and step out there. You're going to have that group that small group over here that's going to be saying negative things. But what about this large group over here who needs your message, who needs the product or service that you're providing, who, it's going to be life-changing for them. It's going to change their game. And this is the side that you need to think about. I don't care what you're going to do. I learned it very early in my military career when I was, the only female minority officer in certain situations. And I remember I had a Marine gunny sergeant tell me, you either get over this now that people are going to not like you in this position, or you're going to fail. You're not going to succeed in this career. So you make that decision and you get over the fact that people are going to talk about you, people are not going to like you, and people are going to make stories up just because. Unfortunately, that's human nature for some people. But we can get past that, and we can get past our weight, what we look like, and no, we're all beautiful. And once we recognize the beauty that's inside us and we put ourselves out there and you start seeing the shifts and you come from a place where you're not worried about what other people are saying, you are going to kill it and become that rock star that you're meant to be. And I don't care what profession it is. If you are the janitor that has to go in the evening and sweeping the floors and cleaning up, you'll be singing the whole time that you're doing it, and you'll be feeling good because it's work you love to do and you're embracing it. If you're a secretary at the desk, because you guys forget how powerful a secretary can truly be, because she has the ear of that man or woman in that office. But they're embracing it and they're enjoying it, they're loving it because they love the job they have. And people can knock it, oh, she's just this or he's just that. But as long as they're loving what they're doing and they're happy, why are we worried about it? As long as we begin to step into our power and embrace who we truly are, regardless of weight, regardless. If you think about people who, there are people with disabilities, there are people with, no legs that have no problem stepping out there and really being who they are. When we have our full limbs and everything, and we can come up with excuses on why we can't put ourselves out there. But understanding that saying yes also means having to say no. Because what you're really doing is you start saying yes. And I see Cindy joined us. Hi, Cindy. Thanks so much. I'm glad you could make it. I talked about you earlier here. When we start saying yes, we're saying yes to ourselves, instead of, and that's why sometimes we're going to have to say no. And I talked about this a little bit yesterday about feeling that we're going to have to please everybody, having to say yes to everything, and sometimes going and compromising ourselves, our values. And that's when we start to say yes to ourselves, then what we're doing, the actions and behaviors and things that we're thinking and saying are in alignment with those values and the things that matter most to us in life. But you got to even begin by understanding what matters most to you in life. Because we get so caught up in the rat race, the overwhelm, everything that's going on, worried about what somebody's thinking and saying in society and the media, that we forget our own priorities because we're lost in all of this noise inside. We have an exercise that I walk through with my clients that talks about values and how we go through that process of understanding it. So if you guys want to know anything about that, just shoot me an email. But to me, that's the beginning of a lot of things, is understanding what's important to you. And again, you guys know that's my capital Y-O-U, what's important to you, not what somebody else says is important to you. So you got to learn how to start saying no. And this may mean people in your life that are draining you, that are kind of toxic, and just more of a, they're drainers. They're draining this positive energy. They're draining. You know how you're starting to move forward and you feel like this pulling you back? You have to start saying no to those people who are pulling you back, because not everybody wants you to succeed. So it gets down to also understanding and having what the real friendships are in your life. Some people say that you are the product of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. But if you're spending time with the people that you need to be saying no to, that are draining you, think about that. And so in the story, in the book, she talks about how this revelation came to her of the people that were draining her and what it meant to have real friends. Because come on, when you guys know, when you start making more money, roaches coming out the woodwork. They start coming out to start, we're here to join you. What are we going to get out of this? And, people that have, you start to learn who your real friends are at those times when you start moving up, and what is it are they there to support you? Or they're there waiting to see what they're going to get out of this? And so she talks about that, an example, and some things that occurred in the book. So being able to, as you're learning to say yes, may mean eliminating some of those toxic people out of your life. And it'll help you as you go through this, understand that, and you'll see that. Because as I said, as you're growing, as you're stepping into your power, as you're saying yes, you're going to see how those relationships are. Because again, people aren't going to always be happy for you. You're going to see There were people who I had, when I would speak on some stages and stuff, I had one person who, if she was there, would always have something bad to say. I mean, there was no doubt. There was, I had people coming up to me, wanting to talk to me, but she'd always find everything that was wrong. And you'd ask, I said, how'd it go? Yeah, is what she'd say. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And I had to learn that, I know I nailed this. This was an awesome presentation. But, I couldn't understand what was going on there. But then I started observing more, and it's like it was every time. So I knew this wasn't a positive thing. It wasn't good for me. Or the person that you're always there from them. You show up for them, you support them, you help them plan things, you do everything. But then when you're, say, in need of their help or something, you find that they want to charge you, or they're not showing up, or, for them it's like, well, how much you going to pay me? Or how much, well, I'm sorry, I can't make it. Or then you have to look, is that really true friendship when you took a lot of time? And so, again, embracing and saying yes to yourself may mean, hey, it's time to redefine the friendships that are in your life and how you're responding to them. And you guys heard me mention the title of the book when I was saying it is Year of Yes, How to Dance It Out, Stand in the Sun, and Be Your Own Person. So if you guys ever watched Grey's Anatomy, the show there, and Dr. Grey, Meredith Grey, and Christina. Christina was her best friend on the show for a very long time, and that's one of the things you do. If you remember them always dancing it out, that's where part of that comes from. But the part about being your own person, there in Grey's Anatomy, when Meredith and Christina were their friends, Meredith would always tell Christina that you're my person, that's my person. The way they were, their friendship was. And you learn more about how that friendship was created and developed when you listen to the story, or you read the book. And one of the things you really come down to it is we have to learn to be our own person. As it says here, be your own person. And in doing that, by saying yes to the things that are going to help us grow, yes to the things that are going to make us feel good, that are really going to bring joy and happiness and love into our lives, even if it's going to be a little scary, if it's going to be, you're going to be nervous about it, if it's going to make you uncomfortable. But what's the end game when you walk through it? As you keep trying different things and doing some of those things, it's going to, the fear is going to slowly reduce. It's going to start eliminating itself, and then you're going to try more things, and you're going to say yes to more opportunities that come your way. You're going to walk through those doors, and you're going to see yourself growing professionally, personally, stepping to who you really are, and you will become your own person. So I guess you guys can conclude that I thought it was an excellent book. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if I read the book, but the audio for me was perfect. As I said, knew I was going to be spending a lot of time in the car, at least a couple times a week. I have a 45-minute drive each way, and I hated for it to end. And I've talked to you also about the when she was able to say no to getting married. You guys have heard that. I won't talk about that one again. Carolyn Farron, she wrote, I recently removed several toxic individuals from her life, and it does make a difference. And it does, because those people drain, they will steal your joy. They will not encourage you to grow. They may show up at the end when they really see, the fruits of your labor. But if they're not walking the journey with you as a true friend, like I said, you may have to redefine how they play in your life. What role are they really playing? And we all need to understand the roles that we play in our own lives and the way people are interacting with us. So if part of saying yes to yourself is all about redefining friendships and really seeing the clarity of what that is for you, that may be something you have to do. A couple of us on the last night's scope were talking about, for us, this is a year of no excuses, which could also equate to a year of yes. And that we're not going to be allowing ourselves to give all these excuses that are holding us back from achieving the success that we desire, that we deserve. It's time to cut the crap. The bull is over. No more excuses. We got to be our own person, and we got to be able to say yes to ourselves. Say yes to you. And that's why I said it was the power of yes. Yes is a very powerful word. It can be a seductive word. It could be that professional, powerful word, you know. But no is the opposite. That's that powerful word as well. And there are times where you're going to have to make those decisions. Is it a yes? Is it a no? But step into what's best for you, understanding consequences and everything that comes with that yes or that no. And if you're not saying yes enough, are you really living an authentic life? Are you really living out loud? We're in a time where, I was talking to people yesterday that I met with, and there's so much sadness right now. There's so much depression, anxiety that people are experiencing. It's like a somber air in a lot of places. But we can shake that by being able to find that place of joy and helping others find it. And so maybe you want to go ahead and read this, listen to it. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. I'm saying a lot today. Sorry about that, guys. But I did it again. So stepping into what's best for you. So I will be here Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. I got some more stuff. Got one more thing I want to share about being uncomfortable, about some things that I have that kind of are that help get you past that feeling that you're going to be able to step out. Hi, Jella. Thank you. And that you can, other things that you can get that will help you as you kind of shake up your year to make you uncomfortable, that you can move forward and have the success that you deserve, that you desire. And these scopes are all about giving you tips and strategies to help you move forward, about having success on your, that's capital Y-O-U-R, terms. That's what I want for you guys. If you have questions for me, if there's something you want me to answer here or talk about, go ahead and shoot me an email at cowens@infinitycoaching.net. Ask me anything about, my business. If you could learn more about that at infinitycoaching.net. I'm a career strategist, leadership and life coach with lots of years of experience in leadership positions and roles. But you guys know I feel like we're all leaders, and I've talked about that in other scopes. And you can find I've been putting the prior scopes on YouTube. You can go to my YouTube channel at infinitycoaching.net/YouTube. Or you can also follow me on Twitter. It's my primary platform at Carol R. Owens. And then Instagram, I'm at Carolyn R. Owens. And Instagram is like my second platform. And those are the best places to find anything that's going on with me is Twitter and Instagram. So I am on all the social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+. But honestly, those are the two that I spend the most time on. I am on those every single day. If you comment on one of my photos on Instagram, I will reply back. If you tweet me out something on Twitter, questionnaire, I will respond. So thanks for being here with me, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you that takes time to show up, to listen. I hope this is helpful for you. And for those who are watching the replay, I appreciate you as well for taking the time to listen to it. Thanks so much. And you guys can always go back and replay this. If it was something that you wanted to hear again at a certain point that resonated with you, go back. I will have these up on the ones from this week on YouTube this weekend. I should have them up by Sunday. And again, any questions, just shoot me an email. And thanks again for being here. And until next time, Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, here's to your success. See ya.